I was in my class one time. This was in the 10th grade, I want to believe. And when class was over and I was walking out with my friend, two girls, two Mexican girls, Euro Mexican girls, right? Meaning light skinned Mexicans, European descendants that were born in Mexico, were coming to the class that I was exiting, right? My period ended, so I'm going on to the next, and they're coming into that class. So as I'm walking out of my class with my friend, one of those two girls says to the other one, "Oh, look at that Mexican guy. He's cute." Me, right? The other girl looks at me and she says, "He's not Mexican. That N word, that N word, he's Blaxican." And then they both started laughing, making fun of it. And now, I grew up with a very poor self-esteem. I grew up extremely insecure because of my complexion. And so their remarks and their mockery only strengthen, only prove correct what I've been taught my whole childhood. You understand? So now the thing is this. I'm not black. I'm Mexican. 80% Native American and 11% West African. I've never in my life, I've never in my life claimed to be black ever, because I personally believe that black in this country is an experience that you could only get if you're black. You could only the way you're treated and viewed is how you know you're black. I've only been treated and viewed as a Mexican. When people look at me, they don't see black. When a cop looks at me, they don't see black. They see a Mexican. So no matter if I do have some percentage of African, I'm not black. I'm just a Mexican dude that happens to have also some ancestors that were from Africa. But with that said, I only mention that because earlier you and I were talking about, you know, what you've gone through as a black person, the things that you've had to do to get around being black, if you will, for opportunities. With that said, a lot of the people in the comment section of the video prior that I did of the Afro Mexican, a lot of Mexican people that were coming in there were trying to deny that what I was saying was true. So now let me give some examples of how it's a fact. People know it's a fact. They're just in denial. We Mexican people do not want to admit that we are culturally racist. We're not openly racist for the most part. Some are, but for the most part, we're not openly racist. We may not tell you to your face that we hate you, that we don't like you, but culturally, we don't want black people involved. My proof, my examples. Whenever a Mexican household has children and their children are going to go date somebody, if you bring a black guy, get this negro the F out of this house now. All right? If we were to bring a white girl in the house, yes, because the model is we got to improve our race. And to improve our race is to lighten it up, whiten it. That's how we improve our race. Now, as an adult, educated myself, looking back, I analyzed things the way I couldn't. Obviously, at the age of 16 or whatever age I was when those two light-skinned Mexican girls looked at me and said that I'm not Mexican, he's Blaxican. Now I say to myself, wait a minute. Wait a minute. You two are not the real Mexicans. But yet, you look at the Mexican that looks like the indigenous people of Mexico, and you ridicule and mock it, and because I'm too dark, although the proper complexion for the indigenous people of this continent, he's not a real Mexican. He's Blaxican, meaning I'm too dark to be Mexican. Oh, is that right? Well, if I'm too dark to be Mexican, then who's the real Mexican? You? You are Caucasian people that descend from Europe that happen to have ancestors that arrived here in either the late 1500s or later. And they birthed you in Mexico, and that's why you are Mexican, because you were birthed there by European descendants. Me, I'm there because the indigenous people of that particular region look like this. So now, see, I could sit here and condemn those two little girls. It's not their fault. They weren't born with these ideologies, with this hatred. Whenever you see, you know, quote unquote, the Spanish channel, the Mexican channel, if you will, right? The Latino channels. Every time, whether it's a movie, a soap opera, or as we call it, a telenovela, etc., all of the main actors, the main stars, they're all Caucasian looking. All of them. All of them, right? And whenever the very few times that you see people that look like me, they're usually maids. They're in the background as extras. Now, the people that represent Mexico, meaning the people that run it, the face of Mexico is a light-skinned Mexican. It's no longer someone that looks like this anymore. So, with that being said, the original Mexican is a bronze-skinned indigenous man. The Mayan, the Olmecs, etc. Right? However, because of the colonizer slash conqueror happened to be the Spaniards, white people, and now they're in control of the economy, the mass media, etc. They decide how to portray Mexico, etc. So now we've arrived to this point where whenever people think of a Mexican, it's a light-skinned person. So now we go to these little girls who see someone like me, and they're programmed. Whenever they see TV and they see a Mexican, it looks like them. A white guy that's speaking Spanish. Right? The reality is that, and even my grandfather spoke Nahuatl, which is the indigenous language of Mexican. My grandfather spoke Nahuatl. His mother spoke Nahuatl. As a matter of fact, his mother, my great-grandmother, spoke Nahuatl as the first language, and she had to learn Spanish to get around. Right? So I come from people recently speaking our native language. But when people think of Mexican, they see a lighter skinned person, a Caucasian features, speaking Spanish. The reality, the truth of the original Mexican is Nahuatl speaking. Bronze skin.